Greetings, fellow visitors. This is Upgrade Terminal, a Star of Providence fan cast. I'm Malachi.
And I'm Nick. Welcome back to the facility. So, today we have a very, very special guest with us. None other than the incredible Arc of Dream, aka Garoslaw, the composer of Star of Providence. Say hello.
Hi, this is me. It's a Garo, and I come from Poland, and I do the music and the sound effects, as you might know.
Mm-hmm. Some very good music and sound effects, as it were.
Oh, stop! You're gonna make me blush.
Good, I like that. No, but seriously, we are honored and very thankful that you've given us some of your time to come on the podcast and talk to us about a part of the game that is really very wonderful and lovely and really adds to the atmosphere of the game.
Good. That's what I always hoped for.
Yeah, it's a part of the game that everyone takes away with them. I think, in a way, the tunes and melodies they stick around. But yeah, thank you so much, Garo. A quick question. So you used to be Arc of Dream on the server. That's what you're
Yes.
credited in the credits. I've been curious. Have you kind of swapped over to Garoslaw full time? Is that what you're going to be credited as in the future?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Arc of Dream is no longer.
Well, it's in the middle of a transitional period, let's say.
I see. Yeah, because I think your SoundCloud changed to Garoslaw as well, or Bandcamp. Excuse me.
Actually, I don't think I've fully changed the one on Bandcamp. On the SoundCloud, it's always been Garoslaw. Just the name on the front page has been Arc of Dream.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I can confirm that in Bandcamp it is still like the name of the artist is Garoslaw, but like the link is still like arcofdream.bandcamp.com.
Ah, okay. I hadn't noticed that.
I've yet to get around to updating the names for the albums and stuff on Bandcamp, but by the time
Yeah.
by the time the patch comes out, I'll be done with that. Even like the remix
Excellent.
album, we have everything set and ready to go.
Well, that's wonderful news.
Yeah, we always start with something nice that's happened to us this week. Garoslaw, as our guest, we will start with you.
Something nice. Well, I did impress Dunkey with my music skills this week.
Ooh.
I called I called out a win.
Uh huh.
Now that I want to hear about.
Yeah, please expound.
Oh, every now and then we meet up with the Big Mode team and discuss the progress in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of the meetings I got to show some of the new music for the game. I can't really elaborate too much on what it is, but it sure made Dunkey go, "That's crazy."
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
See, now you're getting us hyped up because, like, ooh, it's gonna be some good music in the patch.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Actually, a few more tracks than I expected.
So we can look forward to having like a whole like handful of new songs to enjoy.
Oh yeah. There's already a bunch that are like waiting to be published.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be a third soundtrack, it sounds like.
No, I'm actually updating the second one. The third soundtrack is going to be the DLC too.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's the overarching plan anyway.
Mm-hmm. And now the soundtrack is Dunkey approved.
Good. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, slap that on the box. Dunkey's quote, "That's crazy." Nick, what about you?
So we are recording this 5 days after the release of a new game called Balatro.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been thoroughly enjoying Balatro so much. It is so much fun. It is such a cool and interesting take on poker and roguelike deck builders. It has so much variety. The music and the presentation is stellar. The combinations are spectacular. It has been so much fun to explore this game and everything in it. I have been having a blast. It's been so enjoyable. I've been streaming it on and off for a couple of days. I'm just very happy that this came out. Like, I played the demo and I knew right away that that was a game I wanted to have the full version of, and it's here, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Yeah, I played the demo at your recommendation, and
Hmm.
I was so surprised at how good of a demo it was just because they had so many built-in features just for the demo. Like they had card previews. They were like, "Hey, if you buy the full version, look at these cool cards you're going to be able to use."
Hmm.
And just you could actually play through an entire run in the demo, and it was very well done. I've been enjoying it as well. Garo, have you seen this game yet?
I've seen I've seen some talk on it on the server. I haven't checked it out though.
Oh, it's very good. If you want to play poker and at the same time a roguelike deck builder at the same time, this perfectly slots in that overlapping niche, as it were. It's a lot of fun.
Sounds to me like it's a gamble.
finally,
Well,
finally, another guest that loves puns.
oh boy.
You're doomed, Nick.
Well, if you do want to try Balatro, there's still a free demo out there that you can try. So, and I would recommend it to anyone listening to this. Go at least try Balatro. It is very good, and if you like it, the full version is just even better than that.
Balatro.
Yeah, I looked up what that word meant because I was like, "What does this even mean?" It was like what court jesters used to be called or something.
Yep, it's a
So,
very, very ancient word for a gesture or a fool.
Balatro. But as
What
someone who doesn't like roguelike, well, no, I like roguelikes. As someone who doesn't like deck builders or poker, really, I love the game as well. So I think it has good appeal.
I thought about this a lot, and the fact is that poker kind of has this thing where that you have the cards and the probability and all that, but there's also a lot of gambling and kind of bluffing and sort
Hmm.
of sussing out the other players. And this is poker, but without none of the latter part. You don't have to bluff. You don't have to go up against other people and risk losing a whole bunch of money. You just play with the cards and the mechanics. And for some people, that is all of the appeal of poker and none of the complicated or anxious parts of it.
Nick, I'm calling your bluff here.
You got me. Malachi, what about you? What's been going on with you this week?
So this week I started playing Golden Sun on the Nintendo Switch. I mentioned this on a past episode because it was coming up, and I have been waiting for this to re-release on the Switch for a long time. Golden Sun and Golden Sun: The Lost Age were two really foundational games for me as a kid. They were on the Game Boy Advance originally, and I remember I bought Golden Sun at a train station in Pennsylvania, of all places. And I was on a school trip. My parents had given me money to buy food. I bought a Game Boy Advance and Golden Sun with my food money, which meant I ran out of food money. And I did not eat very much food on that trip, but I played a lot of Golden Sun. Um, it has been a joy to revisit this game. One of the most interesting things is the dialogue is so much more terrible than I remember it being. And so I've actually had a lot of fun because now at this age, the dialogue is just hilarious to me. But as a kid, I took it very seriously and I was very engrossed in the world. So the dialogue doesn't stand up necessarily for me, but I'm enjoying it in a new way. But the gameplay mechanics and the graphics and the music still, I just think they're so phenomenal, especially for a game that came out on the Game Boy Advance. And if you have a Nintendo Switch and you have Nintendo Online, I highly recommend trying them out, even if you just play it for a little bit to just kind of experience this gem of a game.
I think I actually still have my Golden Age card somewhere with the old Game Boy Advance. I remember playing that one as a kid at night, like hiding under the bed sheets and then playing dead when my parents would try and walk in.
Awesome. Did you beat Golden Sun and Golden Sun: The Lost Age?
I distinctly remember beating up Satoru Simirande at the end of the second Golden Sun game. I didn't play the first one though.
So an interesting thing about those games is it was going to be one game, but it was allegedly too big to be on one Game Boy Advance cartridge. So
Hmm.
it's really just part one, part two. So, Garo, one another thing we like to ask most of our guests is what they grew up playing. You just mentioned Golden Sun: The Lost Age, but besides that, what are some of the games that you loved growing up?
Some of my most memorable games come from the PlayStation 1 and the Game Boy era. Those are a lot of them came from a kind of a hand me down from a cousin in Canada. The PlayStation 1 in particular had a lot of bootleg games too, but one of them stood out a lot for me that stuck for, well, up until today, really. That's Klonoa, The
Ooh.
Door to
Hmm.
Phantom Isle. It's such an endearing platformer game. This has really cool music. I haven't seen a lot of Eriko Umura's work throughout the years, and like after Klonoa 2, I don't think she did much of anything past that.
Is Klonoa 2 available on any modern systems right now?
Actually, yeah, both of them are on Steam as a single title, as a Klonoa Fantasy Reverie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a combination of both. Both a graphical
Oh, cool.
upgrade. They fixed some of the issues they had with the first game when it was re-released on the Wii. They actually
Hmm.
went back to use like the original the voice recordings on the PlayStation 1 version. No one liked the Wii version, unfortunately.
Any other games that really stuck out in your mind that you feel left an impression on you?
Pokemon, Pokemon
Pokemon.
Ruby, and then Pokemon Emerald, and then
Oh yeah.
Pokemon Diamond was the game that I played a lot with friends in Canada whenever I got to stay there.
Okay.
Hmm.
Pokemon Diamond. What is that? Was that a DS game?
Oh yeah,
So I'm curious. So when did you first become interested in making music, which is what you're known for these days?
that would be somewhere around junior high, I believe. I actually knew nothing about making music. That would be 2011 ish, I believe, when I first like went ahead and pirated FL Studio. It's like a very common backstory, but had a lot of
It's fine.
fun.
It's fine.
My first tracks were completely incoherent, but it was fun working on those things.
What propelled you? What made you want to start making music? What was the drive there?
I was observing. Um, so I was a pretty frequent member of the Fraxi forums where you would make like custom enemies and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
there were different people who were like doing different stuff. Some were drawing, some were doing some programming, and I felt like to myself, okay, what's the kind of stuff I can try and fill in? And I stuck with the music. I tried the music first, and that's the thing that like stuck and well I went the furthest with so far.
So you saw a community and you felt like there was a gap there that you could step in and fulfill that.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, especially considering that you had no prior experience making music. You just kind of took it upon yourself to be like, I'm going to be the musician.
I still generally don't have a whole lot of like technical knowledge on music theory, although I'm whenever I find time I try to brush up on it. I understand enough to like follow with the flow when writing
Hmm.
music. It's not all tremendously technical. I didn't know like the terminology and stuff too.
Hmm. So you're mostly going on what sounds right to you and sort of things that other composers around you have done.
Yep, pretty much.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
So you're kind of writing music instinctually, not completely, because I know you've been learning theory as you go. But that's a that's you said that's a common origin. That's a I don't know a common backstory. That sounds pretty cool to me, Garo.
At least I meant in lieu of like pirating FL Studio to start out with
Oh,
music.
okay.
What do you think were soundtracks or musicians that influenced you, that made an impact on you, that sort of informed the kinds of things that you would make?
Very first thing that like was a big influence on me was I was like browsing Newgrounds for like
Hmm.
animations and stuff because I was bored, and I found an
Hmm.
animation called Key. It's not exactly easy to find, but that one featured a track from, I believe it was Yoko Kanno,
Hmm.
and it was my like first time experiencing music of Yoko Kanno, and then it's stuck with me to this day because it's a really pretty theme of like a character in an anime from
Hmm.
Macross Delta. Beyond that, a lot of Japanese composers really like Yuki Kajiura, who made music for Dot Hag and Xenosaga.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Taku Iwasaki, who was behind music for Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. I believe
Hmm.
also Soul Eater as well. There's Shiro Seijutsu. I wonder if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he did music for Evangelion. And
Uh-huh.
if I recall correctly, quite a bit of Bleach as well.
Did you watch a lot of anime and then the music of those animes inspired you?
I was quite a bit of a closeted anime enjoyer, yes.
I'm gonna have to look up some of those composers. What kind of music were you listening to at the time? Growing up, were you listening to just a lot of game music, or?
It actually changed a lot throughout the years. I had like a more
Hmm.
of a distinction for like regular pop music, remixes and stuff. I remember being stuck with some Beyonce, Black Eyed Peas, and then it started like shifting more towards like Japanese composers. I remember
Mm-hmm.
there's a group called Austromeria Records. I also don't know if I'm pronouncing that one correctly, but they do a lot of tuhu arranges.
Besides the music and sound effects, I think that you have contributed some enemies to the game Star of Providence as well. Am I remembering that right?
A little bit. I had access to the source code pretty early. For
Mm-hmm.
for a while, I had trouble getting Game Maker Studio to work properly on Linux. Today is totally fine. It's pretty easy to get working and testing. About it works about as well as it does in Windows.
Mm-hmm.
But I did poke around with the project a little. At the time, I didn't do a lot of coding. I wasn't too comfortable with the GameMaker language because I let that one
Mm-hmm.
go a long time ago for Godot, just to try and learn it. But I did play around with adding in sound effects. I did a lot of testing for weapon sounds. I
Mm-hmm.
believe Twin Wave was like my first interaction of like actually trying and play around with code to get the sound that I want.
It's a good one.
And Twin Wave is still short on ammo.
Yeah, on the beta they fixed that, thankfully.
And so I just kept on poking around with the code. It might and my first like my so far only like real enemy that I've coded in the game was the humble Rockhead.
that fish.
Yeah, it's the fish.
And after that, I got more involved towards like when we started working on the patch for the DLC. And I got a little more involved with under the hood stuff. And well, I can't elaborate much more from here. You'll just have to see.
I I personally happen to know
Yeah.
what one of those things is. I won't spoil it, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. So as you were like uploading music to the Fraxy forums, were you just doing that and kind of sharing it with everyone, and that's how you did like Pure Question hear your music and was like, "Hey, you want to make a track for my boss fight?"
It's actually fuzzy on my end. I don't remember. I don't think it was actually Pure who approached me with writing music for Monolith, but it was more so Alex.
Mhm.
It started with what would now become the first floor theme on hard mode. That was like the
Hmm.
first thing I did for Alex, and then he asked if I could
Mhm.
try and poke around and make something for Monolith, which still had pretty early on in development. That was back in 2015, I believe.
Hmm.
And I'd start poking around with the first floor theme. This is also why it sounds so distinct from the rest of the game. It doesn't really have a solid foundation in terms of like a leitmotif. Just
Hmm.
happy-go-lucky, optimistic.
Yeah, and then over the course of the floors, it gets slightly darker and then darker and then darker.
Yeah, but it just kind of evolved that way.
So that was kind of a happy accident then. I always thought that was intentional, that it's like, "Hey, welcome to this world. Hello there." It's so peppy and happy.
A lot of like the early floors was me discussing with Alex what kind of theme should we be making, and I'd be doing a lot of drafts. Still have a habit of like uploading
Mhm.
a lot of drafts to the poor folks who have to like then examine it every now and then. Even though some edits were like a couple seconds of change, maybe some segments have been edited, some bars here
Mhm.
and there.
Yeah, I can attest that when Garo was making the theme for what was then called Monorail, he also did that. He sent us several drafts of the track of the contestants just to make sure that it was what we liked, and it indeed was like that. So I appreciate that. It makes me feel like, oh, involved in the process.
I always feel like it's hey, look, I'm doing the thing. I'm not slacking.
That's fine. It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that kind of is evidence why your team members at Team D13 enjoy working with you. You know,
Oh, I
you're
sure
keeping
hope
them
so.
updated on your progress.
I mean, they kept you around since for almost a decade now. So, yeah, evidently you're a good team member.
Well, they known me for a while before that, so that's a perk. We're all buddies from one community.
Like
Yeah.
it was all like, oh, you all knew each other from like the Fraxy days, and then at some point, Alex was like, "Yo, you wanna work with me on this non-Fraxy thing I'm doing?" Basically.
Might have been more of a, like an accident that just kind of stuck at that point. It's details on that are pretty fuzzy because I think we
Hmm.
still use Skype and group chats around there, and all of that is gone by now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, but I remember those days too.
Oh yeah. So Garrett, do you have a personal favorite track that you've made for Star of Providence?
I can't say I have just one. There are quite a few
That's
that I'm
fair.
quite. What I can say is that there's quite a few that I feel pretty good about. There
Hmm.
is the Ex Machina track, which so far is
Yes,
one of the
I
far more
love.
very well received.
I love that. It is still one of my favorites.
Hmm.
I know people praise Second Machina and like Database and Point Zero. But for me, just the machine boss fight track is excellent, and I love the evolution between the three phases. It's very good.
That's the one that Game Metal covered, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
which Pure Question commissioned.
Oh, okay.
actually won. As far as I can remember, he won a raffle for it in the Patreon, and he chose a monolith track for that.
Hmm. Any other tracks that you feel proud of or pretty pleased with?
Screams of Chaos.
Oh yes, another good one. I think I'm just gonna say that they're all bangers because they're all so good.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
So you're hard at work on the music for the update. You said you've got quite a few tracks that are already done. What's been the most challenging aspect of making additional music for the update?
Uh, More so variations of the same track, I think. I can't really
Hmm.
elaborate all too much, but there's a series of tracks that will have variations in them. And it's like trying to hit that balance between one and the other. That's been challenging for me. I've actually put a pause on that for now to focus on the other tracks, including the
Mhm.
one that Dunkey called insane.
Awesome.
But is the challenge to sort of take the a bass song and then find ways to make it both familiar and different at the same time in multiple ways?
More like trying to make different vibes from the same track.
Okay.
And what are you most excited for players to hear in the update? Like a new boss theme or new level music? And I know you can't give any deep commentary on this, but just generally speaking, what's something that you're excited for players to hear?
Oh, boss themes, that's for sure. Boss themes, 100%.
Yeah, I happen to know a few of them, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
I think I can get away by saying I'm actually arranging the monorail thing to be an official track in the game. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna
Ooh,
Whoa,
be a lot more energetic, but look forward to it.
that is news to me. I did not know that. I'm hearing about this right now.
that's cool.
Wow. Okay. Damn. Awesome.
In-game races.
Now I'm even more excited. As when you listen to the soundtrack as much as we have, you do notice that there are a lot of repeating patterns and melodies that stick around. And I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about, say, the leitmotifs that are present in the music of Star of Providence, or the recurring elements, as it were.
There's a motif that revolves around the facility. That's the
Mm-hmm.
one that's most often used. You can first hear it in the intro itself,
Mm-hmm.
while the flavor text is scrolling by.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you can also hear it in the main menu theme, and
Mm-hmm.
from floor 2 onwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as we discussed, floor one is kind of a special case. And what was kind of like what was the atmosphere you were trying to make from these tracks? What was the mood you were trying to evoke with them?
Oh, that varies from stage to stage. I didn't have anything like particular on floor 2, but on floor 3, for example, we did have like a distinct focus on making it sound like a watery thing, like a watery stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like a more of a downchurned segment in the track,
Mm-hmm.
and to evoke
Mm-hmm.
that feeling.
And when it comes to the boss fights,
They also have a unique motif. Had originally in the game there are three different boss themes to signify a theme for machines, a theme for ghosts, and a theme for constructs, if I recall correctly.
huh?
Wow, I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah, interesting. No, because I think the way it is in game is like there's four tracks for normal bosses, and they're just split evenly, and I don't think there's much of a pattern. But it's interesting to know that at one point it was considered like each type of boss would have had its own theme. That makes sense, actually.
Oh no, it's like a kind of boss. It's more of like the extraordinary, the apparition
Mm-hmm.
for like ghosts and stuff. And actually forgot the last one. I need to jog my memory a bit.
Yeah, don't worry, it's fine. It's a lot
But
of
after
music to keep
that,
track of.
and there was the track called the Fourth, which was for the DLC bosses.
This is theme music I had not noticed actually, but that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And most prominent of them all, another track I'm pretty happy with is with the accursed one.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the boss. It also uses the boss theme motif.
Mm-hmm. So what you were trying to do is to make a whole bunch of leitmotifs, and then at sort of specific moments, combine them for specific bosses or specific events, right?
I kind of try and take the original melody and I
Mm-hmm.
try to fit it in different ways for to like make do for different floors. On floor 4, the main idea is that I try at a completely different time signature. So instead of like a 4x4, the unts,
Mm-hmm.
unts, 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 you'd have
Mm-hmm.
a 7x4, where there are seven
Ooh,
beats per bar. You can actually count the beats between each bar in the track, and you can match up the beat.
I should do that some point because I haven't done. I'm way too focused on playing, and I don't hear the meter. But I should pay attention to that at some point.
Yeah, you can just move your ship back and forth to the beat.
It's true. That's a good suggestion.
Garo, do you have any advice for other people wanting to get into composing for games? It sounds like first pirate some software. That's step
I
one.
wouldn't, I wouldn't even say you need to pirate it anymore. You can try and play around with free instruments, as there's an abundance out there.
Mhm.
Quite a lot of sound fonts you can use to play around with. Reaper is a really nice program to use to write music with. It's
Mhm.
technically paid, but it has effectively an unlimited trial, which you can use to like. It only gives like a nag screen when you open it up.
Mhm.
I actually liked it so much that I did purchase a license for it, and a second time now. And a personal license like $60 once you decide to commit.
That's not too bad.
All
If
right.
not though, there's an even simpler one, and that's what Monolith uses a lot. It's called PX Stone Collage. There's
Mhm.
there's an open source version made by a good friend of mine, Side Dishes, and it's called PX Stone Collab or PT
Mhm.
Collab. It's like an open
Mhm.
source version of PX Stone with added multiplayer, so people can collaborate on the same track,
Wow.
which is pretty fun to do. But other than that, it has a lot of quality of life features as someone who went from using the original PX Tone to that newer open source version. And best part is that it still keeps like the core a very simple functionality, because you can just drop in samples that you want, make units or like tracks. Each track can only do one note at a time, but that's okay. You can very easily just get started with writing music.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, if you want to try and start music, you can probably try and first listen to music. Well, you can try and listen to a lot of music, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can
Hmm.
try and get a feel for separating different instruments in the music. If you can do that, you might have an easier time transcribing some of those into tracks. I did a lot of transcribing existing music just for fun. A lot of stuff that I haven't finished, but just did for the heck of it, just to pass some time.
Mm-hmm. And you think that that helped you with in when it came to composing music?
Oh yeah, I eventually started writing original music. I at first couldn't go past 20 or 30 seconds, but with practice I could do longer and longer tracks like you might know right now.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it's just like art drawing, you get better with practice. There's also some people turn to a site called Battle of the Bits. And there you can actually they don't have like a specific skill level in mind, but there are
Hmm.
different kinds of categories for software,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of those are like single hour battles where you write a music to match the specific challenge within an hour or 2 hours or 4 hours depending on who hosts what kind of battle. And that also helps with getting the ideas down quickly, and that's also something that will improve with practice.
So it's like a music jam. It's like the concept of a game jam applied to music.
Yes, basically.
That's very cool.
And I guess one more question I want to ask you is, besides working on the music for Star of Providence and some other stuff, perhaps, is there anything you're working on that you would like to talk about or advertise or what have you?
It's pretty early, but besides music, work on a game during break time at work because I work full time, and we have 30-minute breaks during the day, two times, two three times throughout the day. I tend to spend the time on working on the little game.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome.
It's a game made in Godot, of course,
Uh
and
huh.
it's effectively a shoot 'em up. It leans upon ideas I've been trying to pull off for years now. But basically it would have enemies composed of like single parts, kind of like in
Mm-hmm.
Fraxy. So it's kind of a recreation of that Fraxy idea. And the players would have the ability to lock on and do one of the three things. Either you can forcefully detonate an enemy, and that will clear bullets in
Mm-hmm.
an area, so that's a replacement for bombs. You can freeze them in their tracks so that they don't do anything, or you can hack them, which turns them against other enemies, or just they just blow up with a bullet spread that damages other enemies. But it would vary from enemy to enemy. So that's the kind of prototype I'm slowly poking away with, so I can pitch to the team, see if they're interested in
Ooh,
pitching in.
Oh, that's awesome.
wow.
And incredible that you're doing that in between breaks at work.
Oh yeah.
Are you still working in the restaurant business? I remember talking to you about making toast.
Yeah, for 6 years I worked alone at a toast place. We'd have like a long we have like long buns. Every day I'd have like up to 120 to 180 tops, depending on the day of the week. We'd be
Oof.
making something like Subway sized grilled cheese. And that wasn't the
Wow.
bad part. I was just serving the customers that was kind of hell for me. It was really mentally exhausting. So after 6 years, I finally quit, which is a shame, really, because the owners were really nice. And right now, I have a rather well, it's not a joyful job, but it does bring in money, and it will never run out of business, or like potential buyers that we're basically making body bags. So
Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's pretty different from toast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell I have a lot of different hats? Like I went to college to learn nutrition and household. That was the technical name. And then I
Mhm.
went for IT for another 2 years, and I ended up making music instead, while making helping make body bags as a full time job.
That's quite the journey.
Quite a life.
You went from making toast to making bags for people who are toast.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Nick. Nick, that was my one.
At least we're not making the like Taylor making them.
Oh, ooh.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, one other question, Garo. I told you I'd ask you this. Tell us a little bit about Tosia and Mika. Am I pronouncing their names right?
There's Tosia.
Oh, Tosia.
She's the older one of the two. They're
Mm-hmm.
both mutts. They're both rescues. Tosia, in particular, we adopted her last March, so it's getting close to a year. She was from a litter of three, but the mom was so young that she really wasn't ready to take care of the dog, so she was kind of nipping at them. When we were adopting Tosia, we were worried that we would have to also, well, we were prepared to also adopt the mother if she was there, but it turns out that she wasn't there. They were separated. And honestly, that's the best decision we've ever made, because she's such a cuddly little thing, so happy and absolutely loves to play fetch. And my mom, I think it's one of the better things that happened to my mom, because before that, for 7 months, 7 months prior to that, we lost our dog of 16 years, also a little
Oh.
black mutt. We
Mm-hmm.
The mom was in particular very devastated for a long time, but I was bothering her time and time again, showing her different puppies for adoption, until she finally cracked under the pressure. She can't say she regrets it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And Mika is the younger one. She's currently 7 months old, and that one in particular was a result of, well, we originally were going to adopt a very similar looking dog from Ukraine that was being imported, but after several car trips, it turns out that she never turned up in the adoption. So we decided to adopt another dog that the lady was offering to us, that she was just picking up from a pretty nasty situation. It was in the region in
Mm-hmm.
Poland, where if it's not an animal that can give milk or wool or anything, it's basically useless, so that they don't pay any attention to it. That's also, she turned out wonderfully. It's If you meet them both, you'll see that the little one is the happiest dog alive. You just need to look at her, and her tail just starts going off. It's just it's we're kind of managing with them being incredible troublemakers while no one's home, but we really can't stay mad at them when they're just that so endearing and lovable.
Their lovability comes through in the photos. I feel like they've kind of become the server, the Discord server pets, along with IRL clients, because you're gonna get, people are gonna want to be like, hey, what's, at least I will want to follow up and be like, hey, how are Tasha and Mika doing? But yeah, they both look super adorable. So I'm happy you were able to adopt them and that they've been given a really good home.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Have they inspired your music at all? That's what I want to know.
I'm not sure if they inspired the music, but they do brighten me up anytime I have them around. While grandma's
That's
not
just as a,
here with me in the house, I can actually bring the dogs over so I can look after them. Just give my mom a break because she last time we actually walked in on a disaster. So they somehow found their way into a drawer with a box of dishwasher tablets, and they were all over the place. But they also found onions and dug them inside their beds, so that was fun.
oh dear.
I'm glad they're bringing you guys so much joy.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
I'm probably gonna be. Most recently, we got them a new toy. It kind of just makes the pig sounds, kind of snorts, and they're absolutely fascinated by that toy. I don't think it will last very long, but they love it.
Yeah, you said I think you posted about them going through toys pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, some of the toys don't last 5 minutes.
Thanks so much for listening to our Star of Providence fancast. Big thanks to you, Garoslaw. Thanks for letting us use your music and sound effects in our podcast. It means a lot.
Thank
Oh,
you so much.
you guys are fine. No need to worry. That's my guarantee, at least.
I mean, as soon as we get a cease and desist, we'll take them all out. It's fine.
I hope not. Garo, since you're here, where can people check out all of your fantastic work making the Star of Providence soundtracks? Where can people find them?
You can go to arcadrain.bandcamp.com. It's probably the one and only source so far. But until I find some time to make a website for myself that I'm also making from scratch as a little bit of a side project.
Another hat you're wearing.
Oh yeah.
A big stack of hats on Garo's head.
If you have any comments or suggestions for the show, you can reach out to us on our Discord server. We'll post the server link in the show notes.
And there you will find fellow pilots to talk with and discuss the show. Thanks for listening. We'll hope you'll join us next time.
This is what you came for, isn't it?
So be it.